actually. I guess I gotta get rid of the playoff neckbeard, don't I? Alright, that's better. I've gone from a 4 out of 10 at best to a 4 out of 10 at best without facial hair. Anyway, we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about the Boston Bruins. Now, here's the thing. I'm better with off-the-cuff, rambling style of videos anyway, so if that's not your thing, hey, I get it. And the thing is, I put out a thread on Twitter last night after the game that I felt summed everything up quite perfectly. At the end of the day, the Boston Bruins lost to a year-long Cup favorite. At the beginning of the year, if you told me that the Boston Bruins were not only going to make the playoffs, but they were going to do it convincingly, competing with Tampa for the division title up until the very end of the season, and that they were going to go on, beat Toronto in the first round, but then fall short to the Lightning, I would have taken it. I would have taken it because this wasn't supposed to be their year. But sure, the loss to Tampa does sting because we were given, as Bruins fans, we were given a lot of hope because this team was so good at times. But you factor in injuries, to Carlo and Anders Bjork especially. Patrice Bergeron, there is no way that guy's at 100%. There's no way. I refuse to believe it. But even then, he's still one of the best players in the world, and we've seen that before. For God's sakes, the guy played with a punctured lung. You factor in all of that, I'm still all right with it. This loss doesn't sting as much as a loss to Toronto would have, for example. This loss doesn't sting as much as the Ottawa loss last year. Like I said, I am more than fine with this, and maybe it's just the Patriots fan attitude about it. Some fans would be like, oh, if I'm going to go into the playoffs and lose in the first 2 rounds, screw it. I'd rather finish outside the playoffs and get a better draft pick. Maybe it's just that Patriots fan mentality, but it's like, no, I'd prefer to see my team still be playing in May. Even if it's only until 6 days into May, I'd still rather see my team be playing in the playoffs. But maybe that's just me. So like I said, to have seen this team go from what they were doing, and I swear to God, again, off the cuff, or not necessarily off the cuff here, I actually have the chain of tweets in front of me here, just to make sure that I don't forget anything. But yeah, the point being, I'm all right with the result. In terms of how the games themselves played out, if you follow me on Twitter, it hasn't just been a thing, me complaining about the NHL officiating whenever it's the Bruins that get screwed. Because it's not an exclusive thing. And if you follow me on Twitch at all, this has been a nightly conversation for the past month and a half, where I don't know what's happened to the NHL and how they just... I'm trying to think of how to phrase this in a somewhat polite way, but how they have screwed things up to this point. Not beyond all repair, but in terms of the consistency in officiating, it is mind-boggling to see the product in as bad of a shape as it's in. Whether it's been the whole debacle all year over goaltender interference, and then once the playoffs start, again, whether it's Zdeno Chara being high-sticked in the face, you got to try pretty hard to not see the tallest player in NHL history take a stick to the face. Whether it's phantom high-sticking calls, whether it's phantom hooking calls, whether it's Torrey Krug freaking out because Yanni Gourde tried to dump the puck in, it went off his face, and Krug just fucking hacks him down. How is that not a penalty? Just how is it not? Whether it's Brad Marchand diving, which he did. Sorry, Brad Marchand dove in Game 5. Just there's been so little inconsistency with all of it, with hooking calls, with slashing calls, diving, just everything. Cross-checking. Holy shits. I forget, was it Game 2 or Game 3 where Pasternak had a goal called off? Or no, Marchand had a goal called off because Pasternak was called for cross-checking, when in the same play, a second and a half before, in the same part of the ice, Pasta's here, Bergeron's here, Bergeron gets cross-checked in the back. That's not called, but Pasta's called. Just, and again, I have to clarify. This isn't me saying, oh, the refs were against the Bruins. No. No. Unfortunately for the Bruins, a lot of the bad calls happened at very crucial points in time. Whether it be the aforementioned, I believe it was the Marchand goal that was called off. Whether it's Brad Marchand being hit in the gloves on a breakaway, that could have resulted in, the game being over. Whether it's Stamkos' game-tying goal in Game 4, where that's been called a trip. McAvoy getting taken down, that's been called a trip. I can't even say consistently. That used to be a trip consistently. There's no consistency whatsoever, and God, that sucks. But I cannot reiterate enough. I'm not saying it only happens to the Bruins. It happens to everyone, and that has absolutely affected my enjoyment of the postseason this year. Did it affect the outcome of Boston and Tampa? Yes, but I still think in the end, for the most part, 99 times out of 100, the better team wins. I think, I'm not exactly going off on a limb here. I'd love to say that the Bruins were the better team in the series at certain points, but, shitty officiating killed momentum at times. I still think if every call went the way it should, Tampa still takes this in 6 or 7 games. They do. And I don't say that because I don't have faith in my team. I predicted the Bruins to be a playoff team at the start of the year. Yes, I thought they'd lose to Toronto in the first round. That's just simply because, again, Toronto was a healthier team at the time. Toronto's had has had a better run of success against the Bruins in the past 2 seasons or so now. Obviously, I'm happy the Bruins won, but then you put them up against Tampa. And like I said, some people are like, oh, screw that narrative. The Bruins were the better team. You look at Game 5, where the officiating was pretty much on point. There was still some consistency issues. The McAvoy penalty, where he, hit that little bit of an extra shove, that's often not called. And in the playoffs, it always used to be, okay, that's fine. Like, just multiple times a game that happens, but that time it was called. Aside from that, and admittedly, Game 5's a little bit fuzzy at this point, because it's like, all right, season's over, whatever, I don't care. But point being, all you had to do was watch Game 5. The better team won. At best, if the Bruins had the calls that everyone says they should have had, myself included, it would have gone 6 or 7, as my neighbor is apparently mowing the lawn. Do I keep... Yeah, I'm keeping this going. Screw it. So, regardless, I don't really see how anyone could have said that the Bruins are the better team. Game 5, in particular, where, oh my God, defensively. Tampa... I said this on Twitter. The story of this series is not Brad Marchand licking people, which, if you want my opinion on that, is it a scummy thing to do? Is it gross? Is it disgusting? Yes. There was no rule against it. You can't say, oh, well, only Brad Marchand would do something like that when there's no rule against it. It's like, no. Teams take advantage. Every team in the league tries to take advantage whenever they can. If there's not a rule against something, if the officials aren't calling something consistently, yeah, you're gonna keep going for it. Do I support Marchand doing that? No, I don't. I am more on the Bruce Cassidy side of things of, hey, just can you not? Because we kind of need goals right now because everybody else on the team is getting shut down. So I don't support that. But the point is, that's not the story of this series. That's the narrative that everybody ran with because it's easier to be like, oh, look at this stupid thing Brad Marchand's done a few times, as opposed to looking at what the 2 main stories of this series are. Praising Tampa for how goddamn good they are. Everyone knew offensively, oh my God, Tampa. Tampa is so goddamn good defensively that if they stay healthy, I don't see how they don't win the cup. I genuinely don't. If they play as well as they did in this Bruins series for the rest of the way, they're winning the cup. That's not to say I'm rooting for them to win the cup. I'd still prefer to see Ovi get his first cup. Again, I've talked about Ovi a lot, particularly on Twitch. I don't want Alex Ovechkin. I don't want any players that I've grown up watching to end up topping Marcel Dion or even joining Marcel Dion on the greatest of all time to never win the Stanley Cup. Which is why, I'm a little bit upset that San Jose got eliminated because I feel sorry for Joe Thornton. But that said, oh my God, Vegas. And who I'm rooting for, again, Ovechkin, I'm rooting for the Vegas story. Nashville or Winnipeg as well. I want a first-time Cup winner. Sorry, Pittsburgh. But we'll see what happens. Point being, the story, how goddamn good Tampa is, particularly on defense. Anton Stralman has been the best player in the world for his past 5 games. Holy hell. The Ryan McDonagh acquisition for Tampa has been amazing. Aside from that, though, it's been the awful officiating, the awfully inconsistent officiating, which, again, it's easier to talk about Marchand being a douche. Let's call a spade here. It's easier to talk about Marchand being a douche as opposed to, you know, reporters or whoever else criticizing NHL officiating. You can see why Sportsnet might want to be putting out articles about, hey, here's Brad Marchand, instead of, should we talk about how the NHL is kind of dropping the ball with their rules and officiating right now? What's more controversial for Sportsnet to cover? So, yeah, we get to hear about Brad Marchand all the goddamn time. That said, overall, the Bruins, a banged-up Bruins team, lost to arguably the best team in hockey. I'm okay with it. I've accepted it. It's not this terribly soul-crushing defeat. Aside from the fact that we have seen Rene Rancourt's last anthem, which I know okay. I know. If you're not a Bruins fan, odds are you find Rene Rancourt obnoxious. You find Jack Edwards to be the biggest goddamn homer on the planet, and that's fine. I'm not here to change your mind, even though Rene Rancourt's the best anthem singer in the history of the league. Kick rocks Kate Smith. I say that with all due respect. And Jack Edwards is no bigger homer than anybody else. He just does it with more spunk. I don't know. Side tangent. The last thing I want to do here. Because I've said pretty much everything I can say about the series. Again, Tampa won, rightfully so. It's disappointing, yes, but I will gladly take it. People targeting certain players for underperforming, particularly on Twitter. Whether that be David Krejci. I saw a tremendous amount of Krejci. He was invisible in the Tampa series. Everybody was fucking invisible in the Tampa series. Nobody could do anything. You know why? Because Tampa's really fucking good. Newsflash. Amazing, I know. David Krejci had 10 points in 12 games. Is the contract a bit much at $7 million and what? Actually, I'm looking at it right now. 7.25 until the 2021 season. Is that a bit much? Probably. But David Krejci's not the reason why the Bruins lost. Again, Tampa shut down everybody. I mean, if you're gonna call out Krejci, call out Jake DeBrusk. We all love Jake DeBrusk, right? Jake DeBrusk didn't do anything against Tampa. Ship him out of town, though, right? Oh, well, no, he doesn't have as bad a contract as Krejci, and he's a younger player, so it's fine. No, I think it's stupid to sit there and target certain players. And, of course, the one who gets it the most is Tuukka Rask. The save percentage, not great. Not great. If you watched these games, particularly these 5 against Tampa, and you blame Tuukka Rask for the loss, nice knowing you. See you later. I don't want you here. Because you can't be saved. All you have to do is watch the 5 games. That's all I can say. The eye test. Watch. The eye test for David Krejci isn't, oh, he was so bad. That doesn't always apply. Same thing with Tuukka Rask. You look at that save percentage, and you're like, wow, Tuukka Rask was shit. No. Look at the quality of chances. Watch Game 5. Now, people are going to be like, oh, well, he didn't play like that for the entire series. He pretty much did. In terms of the high-quality chances he faced consistently. Whether in the Toronto series or the Tampa series. Again, I'm not saying Tuukka was the fucking lights-out world beater, Marty Brodeur, Patrick Waugh, Dominic Hasek, love child created in a lab to be the best goaltender of all time. But still, Tuukka Rask is a good goaltender. And with that contract and the depth this team has right now, he's not going anywhere. Anton Khudobin's not the answer. As it is, he's a free agent. Carolina might want to bring him back because their goaltending situation sucks. Sorry, Hurricanes fans, for the jab. Zane McIntyre is not going to be an NHL starter. It's not going to happen. Which means you have Vladar, Kaiser, and Jeremy Swayman. Both are years away. Enjoy Tuukka Rask because he's here for as long as David Krejci's here. Deal with it. Oh, well, they, you should have traded Tuukka and not Martin Jones. You know, in the first round, maybe. Because Martin Jones was a monster in the first round for the Sharks. And then, I'm going to kill my neighbor. I'm going to kill my neighbor after this. But that's fine. So enjoy my final video, because I'm kidding. Point being, Martin Jones got lit up against Vegas quite a bit, too. So that whole argument of, oh, you should have traded Tuukka. I am quite happy with Tuukka Rask, Sean Kuraly, and Trent Frederick. Because that's the combo we have now, instead of Martin Jones and whatever the hell we would have gotten for Tuukka. Maybe it would have been a better return. Who the hell knows? Point being, I'm a Tuukka Rask supporter. I watched the game. I have seen where the hell he was facing shot froms. I noticed certain trends with the Bruins defense, particularly against Tampa. That being, holy shit, is Tampa fast? Holy hell, can Tampa forecheck? Cedric Paquette, Ryan Callahan, Andre Palat. Yeah, there's, again, if you blame Tuukka Rask, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know how in someone's mind they could possibly think, well, if Tuukka was better, if we had, like, who? Sergei Bobrovsky? He fell apart in the playoffs. Jonathan Quick? Didn't get the job done. What goaltender, what mythical goaltender do you think would have helped us beat Tampa? Please tell me, because I'd love to know. Marc-Andre Fleury, maybe, because he is having one of the best postseason runs of all time. Maybe we can go back in time and pluck J.S. Jaguar from 2003 before the Stanley Cup Final, put him in a Bruins uniform, and maybe we beat Tampa. Maybe. I don't know. Odds are probably not. Point is, don't blame Tuukka. Just use your thinker. Use your thinker. Okay? The thinker. It's a New England thing. Last thing I wanted to do, though, is just remind people what this team looks like. Because coming into the season, there were so many goddamn question marks. Bergeron and Krejci, I'm still fine with. Danton Heinen. Nobody expected Danton Heinen to put up 47, or end up with what? He has 85 career games played with the Bruins, 47 points. This season was as much about the emergence of young players as opposed to, oh, there's a legitimate chance at the Cup. Danton Heinen proved his worth. Tim Schaller, don't know if he'll be back. Solid fourth-line option. I would really like Tim Schaller to come back. Will that happen? Who knows? He might get a decent money offer somewhere else. You look at Noel Acciari and how he continued to develop as a strong fourth-line option. Sean Kuraly as well. They need to re-sign him. Can't imagine that they won't. Sean Kuraly really impressed this season. Next year, might we see JFK on the roster? It could happen. Ryan Donato will get a full season under his belt. Look at what a full season did for Charlie McAvoy. Ryan Donato will get a full season under his belt, which I'm really excited for. Not to mention, I mean, again, you look at the wing. Jake DeBrusk will get a full season under his belt. Anders Bjork will more than likely make the team again. He'll be back. Looking at who else is on this team, on the right wings, it kind of drops down a little bit. It's more depth options or veteran options, but you get the point. This team is still very young. Next year, I mean, again, McAvoy will have another full season. Yes, Chara is going to be a year older. Yes, he looked a little bit slow against Tampa. Everyone looked a little bit slow against Tampa. Tampa's a faster team. That said, Chara did very well in this series. Decently well in this series. At least as well as you could have expected. There are some numbers out there where people are like, he got ripped apart. There are other numbers out there that said he didn't do that badly, which makes sense, seeing as Tampa kind of kicked our teeth in at certain points in time. But you factor in Carlo being back, the emergence of Grzelcyk this year, which who the hell expected that? And sure, you do have question mark. I mean, hell, I'm looking, Kevin Miller. Kevin Miller, did he have some awful moments? I mean, literally, his turnover led to the game-winning goal for Tampa in Game 5. That sucked. But Kevin Miller's continued to get better. I mentioned this earlier in the Toronto series, where there was a time someone rushed the puck up ice so quickly, and I'm like, holy shit, what a zone entry by Pasta. It was Kevin Miller. Is he still great at certain things? No, but still, he's looking like a better option than he did at certain points. And I will say this too, before I forget. The reason why I didn't do game-by-game analysis, and I might do this if the Bruins make the playoffs next year, which hopefully they do, I try not to overreact on a game-to-game basis, which some people are probably saying, that's a lie, I saw you on Twitter. I don't know, I felt weird about doing like a 2 to 3 minute video. Okay, Game 1, for example. Bruins win. Okay, cool. All I'm going to say about that is, well, there's still more to play. But also, what the fuck, why was that a rule where escape blade can come loose and you don't blow the whistle? Hopefully they change that, by the way. Not as in, oh, the Bruins got screwed. The rule was the rule. I'm just saying, like, wow, they didn't think to make that a rule when quick release blades are becoming a more frequent option. That's all you would have gotten. And for Game 5, the individual reaction would have just been, Tampa's good. The end. So, I don't know. I kind of like to just look back at the entire series as a whole. But looking forward to next season, again, whether it is certain players, I mean, Danton Heinen getting another season, Corrali, JFK, Trent Frederick. Ryan Donato's going to get a full season. Will Trent Frederick make this team? Because he took a lot of steps forward. I have a feeling he'll have one more year in Providence, but you bet your ass they're going to give him every goddamn opportunity to make this team out of camp. So I'm excited to see what Trent Frederick can do. Again, DeBrusk, Bjork, excited to see what they do next season as well. And I'm bringing them up mainly because once we get to the right wings on the team, that's where it gets a little bit shaky about as far as who is coming back. I also wouldn't be surprised to see, Solaric's going to be a focused upon guy in training camp, as is Anton Bleed. But you get to Rick Nash. 6 points in 11 games in the regular season. Did well in the playoffs. Maybe didn't have the impact a lot of people wanted him to have. And actually here, you know what? Let me get his exact playoff numbers here so that there's no debate. Some people are already back on the bandwagon of, oh, he's a playoff choker, which, I mean, maybe he is. But in the playoffs, he had 5 points in 12 games. Is that ideal? Especially considering what the Bruins gave up. Would you rather have had Ryan Spooner in that role? No, because Ryan Spooner wasn't going to re-sign here anyway. When, again, you look at the JFKs, the Bjorks, and the DeBrusks, there wasn't going to be a spot for Spooner here a long time. Made sense to get rid of him. You had to give up Lindgren to do it, whatever. And you got rid of the Bolesky contract. Would I like to see Rick Nash back in Boston? I wouldn't mind it, but I can't help but think he's not coming back just because of how much money he might command on the open market. He is the classic player that someone's going to overspend for. And if not, who knows? Maybe it turns into another Eric Stahl situation where Rick Nash goes somewhere for cheap and has a little bit of a career revitalization. But if I'm the Bruins, I mean, while you do need depth, that's one thing that really killed them this year was depth scoring. I just don't know if Rick Nash is the guy you bring back, but I wouldn't be opposed to seeing him come back, for next season. Riley Nash is gone. I just think, again, Riley Nash this year was making $900K. Someone's going to pay him over $2.5 million. Probably Edmonton. That's a safe bet. I'd say Riley Nash is like 99.9% likely to be an Edmonton Oiler, which, good for him. I mean, when Riley Nash signed here, I didn't expect anything out of him, and he had a great season this year. Disappeared in the playoffs, but again, a lot of people did, especially in the Tampa series. Don't know if Wingles will be back. I could see that happening. Don't think Gianna will be back, but maybe some other team will give him a flyer. And then defensively, Nick Holden, probably gone. The big issue for the Bruins is depth. They do still have a lot of prospects coming up, so I'm excited to see how that pans out. Intrigued to see what they do in the draft, intrigued to see what they do in free agency. This year, again, wasn't about the Bruins being a true cup contender. They outperformed, which is why this loss stings. I just noticed that this string is loose and this isn't. That ruins the whole video for me. Oh, God, just make it look like a bow. Hold on, we can get this. We can get this. Don't look shit. Hey, we did it. The Bruins doing as well as they did, competing with Tampa for the division title, is why this loss feels like a massive disappointment, especially when you have an expansion team going to the Western Conference Final. But again, some players got some valuable experience. That's the core of this team while aging. The young reinforcements are there. I'm excited for the future. That said, I am trying to avoid Twitter and our hockey and in some ways even the Boston Bruins subreddit, just because, man, is there some overwhelming negativity, like I said, directed towards Krejci, directed towards Rick Nash, Tuukka Rask especially, but I'm feeling all right about this. And at 25 minutes or so, I don't really know what else there is more to say. Like I said, this was just kind of an impromptu video where it was more about just kind of, I felt like I had to do something for the YouTube side of things, right? I had to do something. I had to say something. I couldn't just leave it to a couple of tweets. I'll continue to be talking about the Bruins, as we go on through the summer. In terms of talking about the rest of the league, especially as we move towards the Stanley Cup Final, it's the same thing for me, where if I just don't have a ton to talk about on a certain subject, I don't see the point to make a video about it. I'll just more tweet about it. What the hell do you want me to say, for example, about Vegas? You know, as if someone like the hockey guy at this point isn't getting sick of it. Like, well, what the fuck am I supposed to say? It's incredible. It's what a story. Who's not rooting for them? That's all I'd be able to say. That's all I know. But with that, I'm going to bring this video to a close, mainly because I have other videos that I am looking to edit and render as well on top of this one. So thank you guys for watching. To the Bruins, I thank you for a good season. I'm looking forward to the future. To Rene Rancourt, I will miss you, you absolute legend. God have mercy on the person who has to replace him. You might as well go, I mean, at least, like, do you go the full Kate Smith route and just put him up on the Jumbotron? I feel like you almost have to. So I'm looking forward to next season. That said, I'm also looking forward to watching the rest of the playoffs. With that, thank you guys very much for watching. Again, I've mentioned this in videos lately. The support on the channel as of late, I don't know where the hell it's coming from, but goddamn, we might have passed 2 million views by the time this video's up, which is mind-boggling to me. We're over 8K subs. Videos right now are going well. I haven't said it. 4 months. 4 months. This September will be the 3rd year that I've done this. I want to hit 10K. That was my goal. First year goal was 1K. Second year goal was 5K. I want to hit 10K. I need to hit 10K before the beginning of September. I think the first video went up September 7th of 2015. I need to hit 10K to feel like I'm still progressing and doing well. So, to those who have helped get me here so far, I do appreciate it. Hoping to continue to march towards that 10K. And that pretty much covers it. Links are in the description of my Twitter and Twitch. And, yeah, I'm going to continue to enjoy some hockey. But the second the Stanley Cup's awarded, it's all about this. One more time. So, let me know what you thought, by the way, of just the Bruins run in general. I can't wait for the Marchand hate and all that fun stuff. Can we have some unique takes in the chat? In the chat. Well, yeah, on Twitch. But in the comments section as well. I'm going to stop this now. Thank you for watching. I am actually doing my laundry, but you know what? You know what? Let's do it. Here, feel free to take a look at an unmade bed because there's no blankets. Doggo cam. Woo, 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 woo. And a yellow towel. That's right. Even my towels are black and yellow.